So, we begin. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
A reading from the prophet Isaiah, chapter 6, verse 8. I then heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send? Who will go for us? And I said, here am I, send me. The word of the Lord.
The world that the church must serve is the world of the poor. Persecution of the church is the result of defending the poor. My life has been threatened many times. I have to confess that, as a Christian, I do not believe in death without resurrection. If they kill me, I will rise again in the Salvadorian people.
Who will speak for the poor and the broken? Who will speak for the peoples oppressed? Who will speak so their voice will be heard? Oh, who will speak if you don't?
Who will speak if you don't? Who will speak if you don't? Who will speak so their voice will be heard? Oh, who will speak if you don't?
Who will care for the plants and the creatures? Who will care for the land and the sea? Who will work so their voice will be heard? Oh, who will work if you don't?
Who will work if you don't? Who will work if you don't? Who will work so their voice will be heard? Oh, who will work if you don't? Who will speak if you don't? Who will speak if you don't? Who will speak so their voice will be heard? Oh, who will speak if you don't?
You got to speak.
Who will speak?
You got to speak.
Who will speak
We have seen our world, and I hope the song reminds us about why we are here. That if we do not speak, who is going to speak for those people?
Today is 137th day of the year. So it's a great day that we will mark in our diaries. So in this room, let us begin by acknowledging all the religions, because it was the backbone that led to this gathering. The sisters from different religious congregations. Please, and under SCW, kindly stand up and let's look at you.
We put our hands together for them. Thank you, Lord.
We want to acknowledge the direction of all the members of Caritas Nigeria. Caritas Nigeria. Well, Malachi and all the members. AFJM Washington, D.C., where the stories sprang up from. So let's welcome, acknowledge AFJM Washington, D.C. AFJM Nigeria Board of Trustees and members. Some people will crisscross. Could you rise? Let's acknowledge you. AFJM Nigeria. You forgot Dominicans for Justice and Peace, because they are good planning here. That's Paganini. But for the government officials that are here, we ask you to please introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Victoria Wilson. I work with the National Reflection Agency.
Please put your hands together better. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chibu Odemana Chile, an Assistant Director with National Drug Law Enforcement Agency.
Please, better round of applause.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Josiah Meriden. I work with NATI, National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jessica Rico. I work with NATI. Thank you.
It's so good to see younger ones and many young ones in this room who will carry this story into the next generation. So we thank you and we acknowledge you and we welcome you.
Please, a better round of applause for our Sister Benedict Okure. Sister, thank you very much.
Let me say a little more. My name is Aneti Okure. I'm a Dominican and I serve as the General Promoter for Justice and Peace for the Dominicans and the delegate of the Dominicans to the Human Rights Council in Geneva. So I'm glad to be back home to join in this timely event. As you see on the banner there, tackling drug abuse, ritual killings, and cultism in Nigeria, fashioning a better future with our youth. The organizers decided to use the word with our youth instead of for our youth because they thought it would be better to carry the youth along in the process so that they feel part and parcel of the process, take ownership of it, and join in shaping a better future for themselves. We are all aware of the rising incidence of drug abuse among our young people. It is spread throughout Nigeria. Some areas we hear, others go undetected, but it's a serious problem. Our ancestors developed an inward-looking strategy to analyze and tackle problems when they arose, especially when they concern young people. You know, our ancestors, if the young people did something wrong, they didn't go say, oh, why did this student or this children do this? The first question was, what did we do wrong? It's a different mindset of approaching the problem, realizing that it is the adult community that model how children behave, what they do. So let us use this strategy in effecting this. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the valuable contribution that you are going to bring so that at the end we will be so delighted that we had this gathering. God bless you.
I would like to begin by welcoming you as we have heard in the name of the Caritas Secretariat here under the able leadership of Father Zacharias Sanjumi, the Secretary General of the Secretariat. We are happy that we are all here. And the program set before us is a very important program. Drug abuse, ritual killing, and cultism in our society. We come from far and near, majorly religious men and women, who have come to bear witness to a humane society. It is very important for us to pay due attention to the motivating factor that made this workshop something worth the while. And so I am confident that the efforts of today, from the sisters, from the government agencies, from the mothers, CW, from all of us combined, we will be able to bear a wonderful witness and produce a wonderful fruit that will bring a change of attitude in the minds of our young people. May peace be upon you. Thank you.
I am from the National Registration Agency, the National Drug Focal Person at that. And so my experience in the course of my duty in the office and in the field, because our job in NOAA is in field-based one. And so I am pressured in NOAA on the menace of drug abuse in this country. It's such that if workshops and programs like this are not organized and the outcomes implemented, I plead with God. Otherwise, we are doomed as a nation. There are things that we don't even know that constitute drugs. The CW woman talk about Maggie. There are so many things that they are good if they are taken in moderation. But the moment you abuse it, either taking it in excess, these small drugs like tramadol that they prescribe in hospitals, if you take it according to prescription, it's not a problem. The lacasera that they talk about, if you just buy a bottle of lacasera and you drink, it's not a problem. The codeines that they prescribe in hospitals, if you take them, it's not a problem. The cough syrups, if you take the normal dose of cough syrups, it's not a problem. But you see these young men, they open a bottle of cough syrup and they consume the entire cup, the entire bottle, and they go haywire. There are other ones that people go to the extent of going to sleep pit toilets. They open pit toilets and they inhale it and they get overboard. They go to where people wee publicly and then they bend down and they inhale smells, the odor from urines, they get out of hand. If I go on to speak about our experiences in the field, maybe other panelists might not have enough time to speak.
Experience in trying to address the issue of drug abuse.
Like I said earlier when I gave a good message, I said some people will be wondering, nothing, what's your business with drug abuse? What is your business with ritual or even cultism? But the fact is that drug abuse has been used by traffickers over the years to get their victims to do those things they ordinarily will not do. I'm sure many of you must have heard that victims of trafficking are made, especially for those for sexual exploitation, are made to sleep with men, 10, 15, 20 men a day. They also make these girls, I'm just talking about the sexual aspect now, exploitation. They make them to also carry drugs because they have heard that a victim of human trafficking cannot be prosecuted for an offense that he or she has committed based on his or her status as a victim. They make them to also carry drugs from one point to the other. We have seen many of these victims. By the time we rescue them, or the time they come back, they have psychological issues.
IACT is a community-based organization, so most of our work
we do it in the communities. So I can relate to everything they said because we meet them firsthand before they even get to your offices. In the course of the work, you see that the truth is that drug abuse has increased so much. And then most times it was just boys that we see, and then we blame it on them, and then we try to help them. But it has exceeded beyond just boys. And boys and men, we have a lot of women. It has become so challenging that most times you are lost on what to do. You're just lost on how to go about it. But God has been faithful, and then people are changing. We go on the our mentoring programs are strong and spreading all around communities where we get their engaging places. We get people of influence there, like mechanic workshops. We go to skill acquisition places like the carpentry workshop. We go to hairdressing workshop. We get their leaders or their key people there. We train them, we call them, we train them on this, so that when these children come away from the environment, away from where they learn this thing from, they get a different mentoring program. Like they get to know that these things you are taking is harmful to you and can kill you in a very short time.
So drug abuse is taking drugs without medical justification, or use of drugs that impairs our emotional, physical, and psychology of the user. So from this, we know that drug abuse is use of drug without medical justification, use of drug which is not prescribed by a medical practitioner, and excessive use of other socially acceptable drugs like cola nuts, alcohol. These are drugs that they are socially accepted. So excessive use of them constitutes an abuse. And also the use of drugs that are socially not acceptable or that have legal sanction of them, in the case of cocaine, heroin, cannabis, and other banned drugs. So these are what it means by drug abuse. So when these drugs are used, it constitutes an abuse.
But then most importantly, equally importantly, is how is it that despite the available laws and law enforcement agencies that we have in this country, the rate of drug abuse doesn't seem to be abated?
People who get used to these things will still be looking for ways of getting these things done and beating law enforcement. Because some of them have seen it as a way of life, and they must continue to do it. Secondly, there are parental figures in our society who have continued to live in this manner. And some of the people they have always influenced, we still see it as a way of life. So, it's because of also failure of leadership at various levels that some of these things are driving. If I'm taking drugs, for instance, what would I tell my younger ones in the office? They also learn how to use it. If I come and talk about it in my church, some people just say, see him. Because they know what I'm doing. But those who believe that I am touching their lives one way or the other will not condemn me.
Absolutely.
They will find a way of joining me in that, thinking that possibly that is the way to go.
Thank you very much. So that's leadership, by example. And then let's talk to NOA now. He's talked about how important it is to create a level of awareness and what set of other agencies that will create that awareness. The NOA is primarily responsible for giving that orientation to Nigerians. In terms of drug abuse, to what extent does the NOA go to give this orientation to Nigerians? And what category of people do you target?
extended their invitation to the parliament. And so if you did, I don't know the extent of follow-up. Because we need them here, the lawmakers. I traveled to Singapore. Any airport in Singapore you arrive at, you will see it very bold. The punishment for drug use in Singapore is death. That is how harsh their laws on drug abuse are. And so when you see such, and the law permits the country to kill you, if you bring in drugs into their country, at arrival, they catch you, you are gone. And so part of the reasons why the prevalence of drug abuse is very high up there, as much as we have certain laws, and as much as the law enforcement agencies are doing their best, the laws to catch up with the volume and extent of drug abuse in Nigeria need to be that harsh. There are some other countries, you go to Malaysia, you go to China, you go to Thailand, they don't do drugs. Do your research. I'm happy everyone has a cell phone that can research. Just Google countries that don't do drugs. You see them and see the measures they take, how hard their laws are. And so the parliamentarians are supposed to be here and hear what we are saying, and then go back to do the needful. The chairman Senate Committee on Drugs and Narcotics is supposed to be here. The chairman House Committee on Drugs and Narcotics is supposed to be here. But the representatives, earlier this year, between February and March, we did our pilot in secondary schools. And our study shows that these drugs have also permeated the level of secondary school 10, 16-year-old children. And so you will be surprised when you hear testimonies. Even the FCT School for the Blind and Deaf in Kuje, we went there and you see children coming to give sign on how they take drugs. They don't talk, they don't hear, but they do drugs.
I think there's no questions for the open mic. But please, can we round of applause for that one? Thank you very much, Mr. Terry, for that wonderful moderation, as well as the panelists who have also given us extensively from their wealth of knowledge. So if you look at your agenda now, what we have is open mic. An open mic is also where questions are asked or clarifications. I don't have a little of 1 minute of an insight or want to probably throw more light on the happenings as regards to drug use as well as ritual killings and it's happening currently in our country. Just like a 1 minute or 30 seconds comment is also the one. So anybody who has any, okay?
I know that we have issues with drug abuse among the youth. But now, it seems that the fight against drug abuse seems to have class face. When I say class face, I mean when you look at the fight against drug abuse, you see mostly the downtrodden as people they parade as those that are drug users. Meanwhile, we have influential people who uses this drug, but they are never comfortable. That's the first one. The second one is, why is it that the law enforcement agents who are supposed to be the vanguard at the forefront and the fight against drug abuse, some of them are users of these drugs. So who is watching the watcher? That's the question I'm asking. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
We fight drug through supply reduction. Supply reduction means arrest, interdiction in the court, seizures, bottom of visits, prosecution. That's supply reduction. Then we have demand reduction. That is through what services like sensitization, public awareness campaigns, advocacy work. These are drug services and education, the drug education prevention is our strategies. These are 2 ways we fight drug. who don't parade drug users. We treat them as those who are sick, those that need help. You see, most of the times you might hardly arrest a baron. It took us time to, most of the barons you see arrested, it took us time, a lot of money, energy, intelligence to be able to arrest them. They use Koreans. You hardly find it, but they use Koreans. They recruit Koreans who need money. Maybe it's coming from Brazil to Nigeria, from area, they will give him 2 kg, you will carry, you pay him $2,000. You might not see the baron, you might not see the owner of the drug, you won't. You pass through chains, the person that will back you, the person that will bring you might not even see the owner of the drug. Those Koreans don't know the owner of that drug. They don't. And these are the very prominent people, big businessmen that have big offices, big malls, that they don't involve in some sort of organization NGOs in this country, we don't know. So they have those Koreans who are arrested. That's who you parade. You can't parade who you are not arrested. Thank you.
We are good at repeating the problems that we have. I believe this forum is to provide solutions to the existing problems. And we all know that drug abuse is primary in many crimes. So I want to first commend the NDLA for all their network of reduction in supplies and all that. But what I want to particularly note is that this issue of arrest and treating them, they go back and do the same. Moreover, when people are arrested, the kilograms of drugs and other things that are mentioned, it should suffice that we know the kilograms and the quantity of drugs confiscated. By the time you tell the public the value of those drugs, there are people who will come and say, if I can get 1 trip across, then I am made. And they will be enticed to go and do it. It is of no use to tell us to the public how much the drugs that are confiscated is worth, because that kind of money is enticing to everybody.
We are worried because we all know that society is made up of individual families, and mothers as teachers and caregivers. We have been struggling, particularly with children that are involved in drugs. And most of the times, when you interact with worried mothers, they rather want to keep it low, hide it, and they try to see how to cope. And as leaders, we want to find out ways you can help us to help them. That's one. While one of the guests was talking with us, he said, our deaf and dumb children at Kuje do drugs. And we were wondering here, who takes it to them? They can't talk, they don't get out of that place. So who takes it to them? How do they get it to get involved? And then we were at our offices, all of us had to take permission to come out here because this workshop is very important and at the center of our heart. But when we came, we discovered that our speakers, most of them had not exhausted what they had for us. They were being rushed. And I was asking myself that if such a sensitive platform is rushed, I know that we cannot at any point in time exhaustively discuss this, but why don't we give it adequate time so that at least we get to talk about this very seriously. Those are the 3 concerns of mothers. And then if we have listed the problems, the causes of drug abuse, we need some clear solutions in line with the problems that were listed for us, among them being abusive parenting, role models, peer group, and the rest of them. Thank you very much.
Oh, I will make you fishers of men, fishers of men, fishers of men. I will make you fishers of men if you follow me. If you follow me, if you follow me, I will make you fishers of men if you follow
In your interaction with students and coming across my ways, what do you think propels students to want to join cause? I ask this because I recall, as a young boy myself many years ago, before I got admission to the school, I had friends who were very interested in joining cults before we gained admission. What exactly is the reason why anyone would be interested in joining a cult?
I think the truth of the matter is that as young people, we are growing, we are still trying to discover ourselves, and then a lot of people, we want to belong to a particular group, you want to identify with a particular group, and then you are still exploring. So at that stage where young people, some get admission at a very young stage, after school, some are lucky enough to get admission immediately. So at that young stage, that we are still very committed, still forming ourselves. That needs to explore. You want to belong. You want to know what's happening. Which group should I join? So without proper guidance, some people, join those wrong groups because they feel, okay, with this group, I have that sense of identification.
And find out if you think that the prevalence of cultism in Nigeria should be tied to bad parenting, failed parenting. Let me start with Tony Chinelu from the Ministry of Justice.
There is a pledge I heard of, and I'm sure, because I know somebody that works there, maybe others are placed that way. Somebody there told me that mothers and fathers bring their kids to these places every day. Some bring them from 7 o'clock. Creche, you remember, not primary school, not secondary school. Creche is where they have within some 2 years.
6 months. 3 months.
Thank you very much. 6 months. They keep these kids there. In fact, they will be begging the proprietors to continue to hold these kids. Some will beg to keep them to age here.
Yes.
So that they would have finished what they were doing and pay them more. They are very ready to pay money so that they keep these kids. And this happens during holidays. Now, ask me, where is mother and father with regards to the upbringing of these kids? So it starts there. What you give the child is what the child grows with.
When we talk about failed parenting, I'd like to hear what the CPA has. In your interaction with criminals, especially the young boys, do you get a sense that it's peer pressure or neglect from the parents that has pushed them to where they are?
I think peer pressure, lack of parenting, and of course, all these that I've said here today actually contribute to this young boys and girls getting into crime. We have had cases where people, young boys or girls that you think that will have been properly treated, you find them getting involved in crime. And they are claiming lack of, and that is ignorant, because they were not properly involved. And the peer group influence is a major factor, because this comes from abandonment. When the parents have abandoned the child, the peers becomes his guidance. He tries to meet up, he wants to show that he belongs, he wants to show that he can do what the others do. So when you leave that early stage of development, which is where you talk of grades, you get to primary school, you get to secondary school. By the time he arrives or she arrives at the university level, you find out that he has formed opinions, formed friends on his own without any parental guidance. And of course, you know that the teacher there's a limit to what the teacher can offer. You are only offering academics or molding of character, trying to bring out somebody that will be good for society. And of course, being able to delineate the line between deviance and, of course, being a correct society becomes a problem for that child.
My opinion is basically on the poor parenting. Because if parents actually do what they want to do, no one will be able to influence the child outside the home. Don't forget that every child has a hero. If you as a mother or a father make yourself a hero before your children, they will never depart from that.
I have seen instances where parents complain or react out of shock that, I trained this child well.
Oh yes.
I did my best.
Oh, yes.
How did he end up like this? You cannot accuse that parent of bad parenting, can you?
But what is his best?
Yeah, as individuals, our best differs. So when the parent believes that to an extent he or she has done what they should do, what exactly pushes that child to cultism? The representative of the NSA, Mr. Boniface Bode, as an educator.
Thank you very much. NUC, as a regulatory agency, has a directorate called Directorate of Students. We have students at school university, and that's where I belong. I'm the staff of the Directorate of Students. I work in the Career Services and Human Development section. So we go to universities. One of our mandates is to advise universities on the morals of our children. Though we say that I should start from the university level, but I know that it still boils down to the nitty-gritty from the foundation. If the foundation is solid, there is nothing anybody can do. Every one of us here belongs to one page or the other. And there are some parents that profess faith, they are not practical doers of what they profess. If you are grounded in your faith, as a Muslim, morals are taught. As a Christian, morals are taught. And I want to say that every parent must be the best friend of their children. When you are the best friend of your child cannot have any other friend to confide in more than you. So be quick to report to you whatever they discover. So you must be the best friend of your child.
You see, some parents, when their kids their behaviors becomes out of hand, they move them to juvenile prisons, homes. And they think that is the best. Because when you go, I know when I visited juvenile home in Kaduna, and I saw a lot of kids that their parents brought there. And why did they take them there? So that they will reform them. You see, these kids are got out of hand that the parents are in a position not to, they are not able to do anything better for these kids. Now, I want to say that we will need to have our government. Yes, I said here that I'm representing both sides, personal opinion and government. On my personal opinion, the government responsible for these homes should do the best to ensure that these kids that are left in their custody comes out groomed properly, so that they will enter the society as better human beings. I have visited juvenile homes in Connecticut, in the United States. When you go there, it's like school. It's not prison. It doesn't look like detention homes. These kids go there and come out like human beings, properly reformed. So this is another angle that we need to also look at, because some parents have lost it and have this hope on this agency.
By 1884, the coastlands of Africa, from the far north east of Mogadishu, down through the Cape in South Africa, through the Bight of Benin and up to Morocco and Egypt, were dotted by European outposts, military outposts. And they were stealing whatever they could steal from Africa. What happened? The German Chancellor, Bismarck, realizing that Europe was going to start a war over Africa, now invited the Europeans to Berlin and held a conference. The conference was to stop them fighting over stealing resources in Africa. But then it was disguised as a conference to help Africa, right? It was Germany, France, Great Britain, Netherlands, Belgium, Portugal, Spain, and Italy. But what was the rhetoric? We are going to help Africa do two things: civilize Africans, trade, commerce, and quote, Christianization. But yet, at the heart of it was the plan to steal whatever they could, and then result in the scramble for Africa. And this is what the map of Africa looked like shortly after that, you know. And you will see that all of them are trying to get a piece of outlet. Why is that? It's because this is the Indian Ocean here, the Pacific, the Mediterranean. There were no aeroplanes there. So everybody is trying to get a piece of the sea to steal whatever they can out of the continent. The Europeans, Oyibo, Onyacha, Bakara, Musungu, Banture, whatever we call them, are quote, superior to us, better than us, more intelligent than us, they know better than us, and we, all of us in this room, we have unknowingly, unconsciously developed an inferiority complex vis-a-vis Europeans. By this brainwash to think we need them, we need them, we need them, we need Onyacha, Oyibo, Bature, Bakara, whatever you call them, we need them, you know. And so we allow them to be our advisors, to advise us to do this, to do that. Some of you, yeah, most of you here are much younger. People my age, when I remember when I first traveled out of Nigeria to go to Congo, Kinshasa to be exact, and I was given a 1,000 naira pocket money, right? I matched myself to UBA, Union Bank of Africa in Java, to change it to dollars. You know how much dollar I got? After that deducted taxes and exchange fees, 1,840 United States dollars for 1,000 naira. We are told that we need the outside world to survive. Here's a report from Global Financial Integrity, okay, that between 1980 and 2010, African countries collectively received about $495 billion in foreign aid. Within that same year, the same international community stole out of Africa $1.4 trillion. And they tell you, you need aid from us. You need to borrow from us. The point here is that with all that in mind as background, we are going to get into a discussion. With that in mind, how is, let me go back to the first question. How do we, an intricate relationship between what we believe and how we act, between what we think of ourselves, how we perceive ourselves, and how we perceive others. That might seem too theoretical, but I want you to take all that I have said, turn it now, and focus on that. Drug, ritual killing, cultism. How do we fashion a better future? Because our mind is making us run into these things. What is it that they have seen? What have we modeled to our children that they will do that? The same applies to drug issue, the same applies to ritual killing, the same applies to people wanting to become rich overnight. Something is fundamentally not okay. So I want us to try to tease that out. I don't have all the answers, but I know The answer is given here. So, I stop there. Now, my partner in crime, come over.
Let's give a round of applause to Father first. I'm Father's partner in virtue. So, thank you very much. Father has at least opened our eyes to our beliefs, how the beliefs affect our behavior. I think if we actually read today's reading, it has something to do with this. How what you think affects how you act, and so being in the vine. Okay, so we need, we want to do a fishbowl discussion right now. So we need volunteers. We need 10 volunteers. We are going to turn our chairs round to form like a circle. The 10 people will be inside while all of us will be outside listening to their input, and at the end, we can now give our comments and critiques.
The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because God has anointed me. 1, to do what? Proclaim the good news to the poor. 2, bring freedom to prisoners. You know, prisoners are not all those who are locked up. Not only those. There are prisoners for fear, prisoners of ignorance, prisoners of colonized minds. We were talking about earlier this morning. We can be walking dressed up in gown or 3-piece suit or whatever, but we are imprisoned here. The truth of the gospel enables to set our minds free. So to set the oppressed free, there are all kinds of oppression. So by doing that, Jesus was announcing the program of his manifesto. You know, this is what I'm about. A proclaimer of the good news, one to bring freedom. And there's also the oppression, very often the oppression of religion. Let me repeat that. In fact, some of the worst forms of oppression have been carried out in the name of God. You know that, right? In the name of God. The Pope was in Cotonou, Republic of Benin. And the Pope was launching the second proceedings of the African Synod of Bishops. And the Pope called the international communities that I presented earlier who could give foreign aid to Africa, right? We give you, oh, foreign aid, we are so generous. And yet, they give you $3, they steal $300, right? And so the Pope said that Africa needs, first and foremost, justice, not charity. Because he knows the exploitation of the West of Africa. The Africa needs justice, not charity. And then he said, because a charity that is unaccompanied by justice is false.
5 years ago, AFJN began to build community of advocates in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Tanzania, in Uganda, and in Zambia. And we have seen that advocacy can drive change if we are serious about it. Africa Faith and Justice Network, our main job is to do advocacy on behalf of Africa and Washington, D.C. So the group in Tanzania that we mobilized to do advocacy, the first one, I'm just giving you one example. We went to this group, there were about 87 sisters gathered in a workshop like this. We talked about advocacy. When we do advocacy training, you know, we take it longer. Then at the end, the sisters said, yes, we want to go. We want to go because there is this community in Muyimbi. The community is a poor farming community. And big company, multinational company, agro-based, came and took away the land of the people. I mean, it's a pity what's going on there. So, the only source of water for this community was taken away. So the people have no water. The water is now diverted to watering wheat Wheat, the community don't even eat wheat, but the water is being used. I mean, I can't tell you enough of what happened when we had community. Then the sisters and the community, we met together with the community, and the sisters talked to the community to learn more about what's going on in this community. And at the end, as Father said, who have the power to change? The district commissioner. So we said we're going to go to the district commissioner. But before then, the district commissioner has heard that the priest from America and the sister and they are there inciting the community. So he sent somebody to go and arrest Father. But fortunately, the person came in the midst of all the sisters. They went back and reported. Well, we decided that we are going to meet with him. A letter was sent to him before, but he said, I am no longer going to be seen. Meanwhile, anybody that attended that town hall meeting must, the chiefs, all the villagers, he needs their name. So the villagers started panicking. So we said, don't worry. They called us at the middle of the night. We said, don't worry. So in the morning, 86 sisters entered the bus. We went to the man's office. Meanwhile, he said, I don't want to see the sisters. We said, okay. So when we got there, he was inside. But he told us that he was not there. The sisters stayed. And we waited from 9 till 12. We had media. The media has been talking about this land, taking away the land of the people. So now we also work with them to go there. Anyway, when he saw that the sisters were not ready to leave, then he called the sisters in and we went in. So immediately we went in, he started saying, you sisters, Catholic Church, you are the owner of land. If you get involved in land, we will take away the church's land. We said, fine. But we are here to tell you that the people are suffering. The water is not there. I mean, he started arguing with the sisters back and forth. Then at a point, we reminded him of what the UN that the government signed, that if you are doing any development, it must not impact the community badly. So we told you, the country signed this. So it was then he said, the villagers were happy. They are the one that gave us the land for development. One of the sisters, who is a lawyer, said, you are a liar. I mean, how she got up and said, you are a liar, Your Excellency. You came with police, with the dog, with this, and intimidated the people, and you took the land. Anyway, this man just bent down. And at last, he said, I'm sorry. I'm going to meet the community. So we thought he was telling a lie, no political lie. But he did. He went to the community, he apologized to them, and he asked the big company to let the water flow back to the community. As of now, we went to Tanzania in November? They told us the water is still flowing. This was 5 years ago. So this is the power of advocacy. In Uganda, when the sisters began, we know that in Uganda, the sisters are working on human trafficking. Or, I don't want to say the sisters, the community of advocates we built in Uganda. They have, we were told before that the company that comes to recruit young people for trafficking are 48. By the time we finished the workshop, it was 118 companies visibly recruiting young people, taking them. Their organs were cut and all those. So when we did say this to the sisters, they were really passionate. So we did a lot of advocacy to the extent that the Senate president there, who is a woman, was standing with his sister and told the press, it is the politicians that fuel human trafficking. I mean, she said the courage I had with the sister standing by my side gave me the courage to tell the world who is driving human trafficking in this country. Then at last, the government official says, the church is a uniting factor. In Uganda, we government officials don't work together. Can you bring us together so that we discuss the strategy for combating human trafficking? That's an advocacy. So at last, the community of advocates, they brought more than 120 government office officials from across the Uganda, and they sat down. By the end, the achievement was they had to revise their labor law. Their labor law allows them to recruit, what we said, poverty alleviation, come and they recruit and go. But they revised that. And they also brought 3 sisters to join in the revision, join the government to revise the law. So since then, the sisters and the police have been working hand in hand, especially when they do rescue. And we just keep supporting them. We just had another workshop with them on COVID, the effect of COVID on primary school children. Over 30% of children got pregnant during COVID. Primary school, over 30. And the government just says, after 14 months of closure, said, go back to school, pregnant or not pregnant. So you see 14-year-old with stomach going back to school. So our community of advocates said this is wrong. So we just finished that and sent letters and visited the parliament and all this. And they said, oh, sorry, we didn't know. We are going to revise the policy that we have made. So I think just few examples I gave you is to show that advocacy work. Speaking work. We are all citizens of this country. If we do not speak, the evil will continue. And it's not easy to speak, but we got to speak because that's a vocation. Thank you.
In response to the growing concern in society over the rising incidents of drug abuse, cultism, and ritual killings in the country, Africa Faith and Justice Network, Washington DC, in collaboration with Catholic Caritas Foundation of Nigeria, Africa Faith and Justice Network, Nigeria, and Dominicans for Justice and Peace, organized a 3-day workshop on the theme Tackling Drug Abuse, Ritual Killings, and Cultism in Nigeria, fashioning a better future with our youth from the 17th to the 19th of May 2022. The workshop, which was held at the Resource Center of the Catholic Secretariat of Nigeria, drew participation from numerous stakeholders, including state actors, church leaders and women groups, youth bodies, academia, non-governmental organizations. There was also high-level participation from key government agencies, notably National Orientation Agency, NOA, National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Federal Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Women Affairs, the Nigeria Police, Nigeria Universities Commission. President from Channels Television here facilitates the panel discussions. In addition, we also received goodwill messages from the XSD for. We had additional goodwill messages that were sent from National Assembly and some other government agencies. So we're going to incorporate that there, just to strengthen the fact that the community have the needed participation of our target stakeholders and groups. So we listened to contributions from experts on the subject, including 2 panels that feature relevant government agencies and civil society organizations who are already involved in the issues. The inputs from experts paint an alarming picture of the problem. We learned that about 14.3 million Nigerians between the ages of 15 and 64 have used psychoactive substances other than alcohol and tobacco. About 10.6 million were using cannabis, and 4.6 million were hooked on prescription opioids, while 2.5 million men and women were hooked on cough syrup containing codeine. We learned further that the problem was most common among those between 25 and 39